Hi there. I care and you matter. I'm Shannon, and today we're going to be talking about 5 specific steps you can take to get started as a writer. And I thought that this video would be very apropos and hopefully helpful to you because I just recently released my very first middle grade fiction book. Little backstory, real quick. I have been traditionally published. I wrote a book, Complete Idiot's Guide to Stretching Your Dollar. Was not a good experience. Fast forward, oh boy, 15 years. And I've spent the last 15 years as a curriculum writer, writing expository writing. However, I decided now at the age I'm at and the place I am in my life, I wanted to chase a dream and write a fiction series, specifically again for middle grade. And so, how did I do that? How did I go from story idea to self published series that I'm actively promoting and continue to write? And hopefully, this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint for me. But how did I get there? What does this journey look like? That is what I am going to be sharing every Wednesday here on this channel. And so today we're going to start at the very beginning. How do you get started? What are the specific steps? I have broken it down to 5. So let's jump into it. The first step is to start with a seed. Get an idea. Get something that you're excited or passionate about, and then collect those ideas. My husband, who has also expressed that he would like to be a writer, he keeps getting hung up and stopped in his tracks simply because he says, I just have an idea. It's just an idea. It's not a full story. It doesn't have to be a full story to start. Who starts off with a whole story? My goodness, that's like saying I have an entire movie, it's ready to go. No, that's not where you start. So if you are there, like my husband, don't let that stop you. It's not a hindrance, it's a good thing. If you have an idea, it is a start. So collect those ideas. Next, what I keep telling my husband, create a system for yourself. Find a way, create a way, develop a way to capture those ideas. If you're collecting them, you got to figure out a way to store them. And you want to create a system that you're going to, 1, enjoy, 2, that's going to be effective for you, and 3, that's going to be easy for you to access and reference those ideas in the future. Now, you can start with any kind of system you want. You could have a Google Doc. You could have a Word document that you just write down the idea or type down the ideas in. You could have a OneNote. You could have a notebook where you jot things down. You could use index cards. It doesn't matter the way. What matters is the 1, you're doing something, and 2, it meets your needs or it's more natural to the way you prefer to work. Can that system change as you progress and grow? Absolutely. The key point is to just start something, because if you don't figure out a way to capture and keep those ideas, chances are, if you're anything like me, you're juggling a lot and your poor brain is not going to adequately remember everything for you. So get a system, use the system, and capture all of those ideas. Next, number 3, find opportunities to let your mind wander and wonder. In other words, cultivate those story ideas, those story seeds, so that you can grow a garden. So you can create that full, fleshed out story that you wish you'd had at the beginning. It doesn't just happen, at least not for me. And I would risk to say that for most people, it doesn't happen that way. A story grows, it unfolds, it develops. The more you think on it, the more you interact with your characters and your thoughts, the more your characters run into challenges and problems and have to make decisions. So find, create, and devote time to letting your mind wander. I try and have at least 15 minutes or so a day of sit and stare time, I call it. Now, by that, I don't mean that I'm just staring off into space. Well, actually, yeah, sometimes I do. I cannot I cannot be creative staring at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. I usually stare outside, out the window, out my sliding glass door. I stare at the steam rising from my hot cup of tea. I let my body be active, prepping dinner or scrubbing toilets, not at the same time. But I use those mundane activities that have to get done, the mundane household chores, as an opportunity to let my mind wander and to play around with my story ideas, my story seeds. Not only does it make those horrible, not so fun tasks and chores more tolerable, but it certainly makes me that much more effective because, one, I'm not dreading those mundane tasks because I get to use it for my personal benefit too. But it also, I find that my creativity flows better in two instances. Either one, I'm sitting staring off into space or just focusing on something and not really intentionally thinking. I'm just kind of allowing my mind to wander. Or two, my body is busy and active, but my mind isn't. Sometimes just the process of using muscle memory to go through tasks that have to get done frees up my mind to wander, because then I don't feel like I'm wasting time. I'm actually getting a chore done too. So suffice to say, do what works best for you, but be intentional about finding opportunities and creating opportunities to let your mind mull over and let those story seeds grow in whatever way works for you. Next, establish and stick to a routine. In other words, get going, get moving. Once you have your story seeds, once you have a start to a story, a general idea, create a routine, establish habits that's going to help you go from a story idea to a story that's starting to take shape and form in the form of a manuscript. You have to treat your creative endeavor as the potential business that it is. Now, if you're just writing for fun, hey, that's great. And I hope you still continue to watch my videos even after I share this. But I'm looking at this as a business opportunity. I want to make an income as well as a difference. I want kids, number one, to enjoy my stories. I want teachers and parents to see the value in my stories, as well as the wraparound value propositions that's going to be another video. In my series, I'm going to provide lots of free printables, lots of lesson plan ideas, lots of activities, enrichment activities. But this is a business. People won't buy a book unless they know it's out there. And the very first and quite possibly the most important way to treat your writing as a business is to ensure that you're writing a quality story, a quality book that is worth putting out there and putting your name on, something you're going to be proud of. So establish a routine. If you can't write every day, if you can't focus on your craft every single day, find at least 1 or 2 times a week that you can devote to that. Now, I'd like to say that I write the exact same time every day, but the reality is that's not how it works for me. What I do is I have a system for training and getting my mind ready to sit down and write, but it certainly doesn't happen every day. Again, wish that I could. My son has special needs, and that's actually why I left the classroom. I used to be a classroom teacher. Now I've worked from home for the last 15, 16 years out of necessity because I had to be available to care for him. Yes, he's 18, but he still has a mountain of special needs and he still needs my help on a daily basis. So that means sometimes my writing doesn't happen on the schedule that I want. However, I have things in place, in other words, my commitment and my habits, to make sure that the writing does happen and on a consistent basis, at least once or twice a week. So I encourage you to get going so that, think of it this way. If you shove a seed into the soil, one of two things happen. Either one, it grows, it flourishes, it grows into a plant. It's no longer a seed. What causes that to happen? Sunshine and rain. And so what we need to do to take our story seeds and turn them into actual working manuscripts is habits and commitment and working. But if you shove a seed into the ground and it doesn't get sunlight, and all it gets is maybe rain, and it sticks in the dark, it's going to rot, and it's not going to do anything. And that's the exact same thing that's going to happen to your story seeds, your stories, if you don't treat it like the business it can potentially be. Last but not least, do the work. Going back to step number 4. Keep making progress. Remind yourself that a dream doesn't work unless you do. Decide that you wanting to write is not a dream. Decide that you will be a writer. Remember that big things are accomplished through little steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. How do you eat an elephant? With one bite at a time. Just do anything daily, if at all possible, to move that needle forward. Now, like I said, I don't get the opportunity to write every day. Wish that I did. But you know what? I can sit down for 5 minutes at the end of each day and jot down some ideas, jot down some notes, maybe for the next book in my series, or how am I going to affect my promotion when the book is done, or what are my writing goals, or maybe I can't write today, maybe I didn't get to writing, but how can I plan 10 to 15 minutes, because I find for me personally, the ideal amount of time to write is 25 minutes. But sometimes I only have 15 minutes. So what can I do tomorrow in 15 minutes to move my manuscript forward? It might be reviewing what I wrote in the last chapter. It might be doing a quick edit. It might be thinking about, okay, what's going to happen? What pain point is my character, my protagonist, going to run into next? Anything, so that I do a little bit of work on my dream, on my goal, on my manuscript every single day, so that when I put my head down on the pillow, I know that I have moved the needle forward towards achieving my dream. So there you have it. Those are my 5 steps on how exactly to get started as a writer. If you've liked this video, I ask that you pay the fee. What's the fee? Please share me. Share me with someone else who might also appreciate this kind of content. And until the next video, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.